just go ahead and get started and we'll catch up. So, my name is Debbie Sullivan. I'm an independent certified Optavia coach. I'm also a physician assistant, and I've been practicing for more than 35 years. And so I have a personal reason to talk about this topic. I started having problems with my weight around age 8, and I became overweight. And then within a year, I became obese. And so that led to a lot of issues. First of all, I was the only person in my family who was not at a normal weight. And even at that young age, I remembered thinking, why am I so different? And my brothers and sisters sat at the table and ate the same food that I ate. We played together, we were active. And so I just couldn't understand why I was fat and they weren't. And so that unfortunately led to a lot of voices in my head telling me stories for many years. And unfortunately, as I aged, I continued to gain weight, and I was almost always the biggest person in my class. And moving into the teenage years, it was not a fun time for me. I didn't like sports, I didn't like activity. I liked reading books,
Hey, honey, will you
and
bring me my other
I
glasses?
hid behind my intelligence, so to speak, um, and focused on just being really smart instead of being active and instead of trying to be like other kids, because I felt like that was where I could excel. And so I was actually pretty proud of my academic record and, my intelligence. And then I can remember in the 10th grade when someone said to me, well, girls don't really need to be smart. They need to be pretty and skinny. So there's that. I believed that lie for a long time. And it is a lie. And fortunately, I have done a lot of work to get some of those voices out of my head and to speak truth into myself. And I've also had to do a lot of hard work to change my life and my inner dialogue and my habits and my food intake and all of those things. So this issue is very near and dear to my heart. And so it's also, as a medical provider, something that's very troubling to me of the current statistics that speak about childhood obesity. Almost 20% of children and adolescents in our country are obese or overweight. And if you have a child who is overweight between the ages of 10 and 13, they're 80% more likely to be obese as an adult. If you have one obese parent, that child has a 50% chance of being obese as an adult. And if both parents are overweight, then you have an 80% chance of being obese as an adult. And obesity, we're learning more and more about it as medical providers. We still don't know enough, especially when it comes to kids. But it is a very complex medical condition. It's not just behavior, it's not just genetics, it's not willpower. It's very complex. And so, unfortunately, a lot of times medical providers aren't comfortable treating it and they're not sure how to treat it. And most of the studies of about obesity are done with adults because there's a lot of concerns about doing studies that involve kids and adolescents, and they're still growing and things like that. So it's a complex problem, not only for the parent of an obese or overweight child or teenager, but also for the medical providers. And if they're honest, a lot of them will tell you they don't really know how to manage this either, and they're still trying to figure that out. So, like I said, I have a lot of reasons to want to talk about this topic tonight. And I am joined by some fabulous women who are mothers and who are role models and who are leading their families with their own health. And so I'm going to introduce just by name now, Jennifer Wilson, who's going to talk with us first, and then Jade Michael, and then Melanie Orchard. And I'll let each of you kind of introduce yourself a little bit more as we get going. So Jennifer, take it away.
All right, thanks, Debbie. And if you can give me screen sharing capabilities, and then I'll share some stuff here in just a second. So I am Jennifer Wilson. I am also a certified independent Optavia coach. And this is...
Hi.
You want to do your name?
No.
Okay, I'll do. I told you didn't have to say as much. This is my son, Bryce, and we'll be showing you some pictures here in just a second. We wanted to come on and share just because this has been a big part of a journey for us. And some of the things that Debbie was sharing, especially with, when you have one parent who is overweight, you have two parents that are overweight, then that creates overweight issues in children. And so one of the things that Bryce and I wanted to show tonight is that I'm going to share this real quick so you can see a little bit of our story. But we come from what we call generational obesity. And that is where, if you think about this, that's where maybe grandma and grandpa had weight issues, their parents had issues. And so it definitely has been something that has trickled down in our family. And so I have been on a weight loss journey myself. And one of the big things that when I started my journey is I realized I could not help Bryce if I couldn't help myself. So that was a big part of it. So Bryce wanted to share just a little bit about his journey. As you can see, he has lost 84 pounds in less than a year. And we've been doing several different things. I know they're clapping.
Actually, 6 months.
It's probably maybe less than that. It was when it finally took off that we just really have found a lot of success. And as a health coach, we have utilized a lot of things that are Optavia, but not always. We've utilized a lot of different things, and I'll share a little bit of some of the things that we've done. But I wanted Bryce to share as much as he wants to. First of all, if you have teens, then you know that the weight or overweight issues really can cause problems at school. And I know that was a big thing that we talked about, that Bryce talked about with me. And so, Bryce, do you remember, he's in an online school now and he's thriving there and doing well, but do you remember some of the things that might have happened when you were in school that were with your weight maybe?
Bullied a little bit, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So
kids were ugly to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did that?
Like, if they have those thoughts, just keep it to themselves.
Yeah.
And don't like hurt people's feelings and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I was actually about to ask him. Like, how did that feel when those things happened?
I learned to ignore it after a little while.
But I remember it did hurt your feelings, didn't it?
Yeah.
And so I think that was kind of what started it. And so if you are a parent that has a teen that's struggling with that, they are going through a lot of things. They may not talk about it. They're hard things to talk about. But I know for Bryce that it really became getting harder to do things. There were things, he's a teenage boy. He loves to ride roller coasters.
Yes. And I rode my first roller coaster in 3 years.
All about that.
Yeah, I liked it. I still couldn't fit in the seat, but they were able to get the restraint down under me, so it was good.
Yeah, he loves to go to amusement parks, ride roller coasters, ride the cars. What are those? The
little race cars.
The little race cars that they have where they have a track. And so what had happened is he had gotten to a point in his weight.
I didn't even fit in the car.
He didn't. That's it. He didn't fit in the car. So he couldn't ride it. So it was so hard being a teenage boy. You want to go and you want to hang out and do these things, and it gets really hard to do that if you don't fit in the car. And so I think there were a lot of things that he sort of made a decision that, things were getting hard as a teenage boy, as far as like going activities, even us just going out for walks. It was getting harder. And so it was really just a decision that he made. And so I know for a lot of teens, it has to be their decision. We as parents, we can want it for them. We can do a lot of things to help them, but ultimately, whose decision was it? It was yours. It was his decision. And so it has definitely been a journey. I'm going to share some tips here in just a second of some things that we've done at our house that are not a specific plan or program, but we have found success in that direction. And I think it's really finding what works for your kid, and what would be best for them. So is there anything else that you want to share about what your journey has been like? No. He has a lot of followers that watch his journey, a lot of people that cheer him on. So I definitely always recommend having a support system that can cheer them on. We have rewards that are based along the road. When he hits milestones, you know, we'll probably be hitting that 100 pounds lost milestone here in the next, I don't know, month to 3 months maybe. And so that's going to be a big one when he has lost 100 pounds. And you can definitely see from his pictures, he's come a long way. So anything else you want to share before I share some tips with him? No. Okay. Do you want to stay with me, or you want to?
I'll stay with you.
Stay with me.
While,
okay. All right.
Longer.
I didn't know how long he might stay. So I'm going to share a couple of tips that we've done, and you know, he may chime in as well. Here's some things that we have done as a family. And it really was me making swaps for things, tips for swapping healthy meals. That when I was on my health journey, I get this a lot as an Optavia coach. People say, well, I got to feed my whole family. Like, how am I supposed to do my thing and feed my family? And so that was something I found. I'm a single mom of 2 boys. And so I wanted to find ways that I could start making these healthy swaps for them.
Bless her heart.
Bless my heart. And so one of the things that we did is we switched out high fat protein for low fat protein. So I want to give you an example, and I'm glad Bryce is still here with me. So at our house, we love tacos. My boys love tacos. I love making a taco salad. And you're saying that because we have them a lot, but he usually likes them a bunch. So a simple thing I did was, instead of using ground beef, I switched to ground turkey. And so now when I use something different, my boys are like, oh, wait a minute, where's the ground turkey? So they have become accustomed to that, to switching that. Also with cheeses. So all our cheeses are like 2%.
The turkey tastes better.
The turkey tastes better. And that's what he found as he lost weight, is that he noticed that his taste buds changed, and he didn't want those, you know, higher fat things. So that was one thing. And that's a slow thing that you can do. You switch, if you're using like full fat ground beef, you switch to a little bit leaner, then you can switch to like a higher fat turkey, then you can switch to lean turkey. So it's definitely a gradual thing. We did the same thing with switching from high fat dairy to low fat dairy. So butter, yogurt, milks.
I don't drink.
You don't really drink milk. That's one thing. He doesn't really drink milk.
I like milk.
But he likes it. And we switched it to 1% and just switching it down. So it's these little bitty tweaks that you can do to make a difference. Now, one of his favorites, he may start talking on this one, is you think about kids, they love fried foods. They love like fried chicken, and he loves fried fish. And something we have done in our family is we have a special way that we make our fish. Do you want to tell him, or do you want me to tell him? You're getting excited.
We bread the fish in Parmesan.
Yep, we bread our fish. We can bread chicken. And so when you do that,
she makes hers in the air fryer.
I do. I make it in the air fryer. And one time I actually breaded Parmesan and did it in the air fryer. And he actually liked mine better than you liked the one that you had done like in the skillet with the oil.
Yeah, I like the one in the air fryer better.
He liked that one better. So that's some really different things that it still comes out crispy. And guys, they don't realize, your family is not going to realize that this is healthy. So you've created a crust on your fish, your chicken, pork chops, whatever it is, whatever meat you're using, it's going to work that way. So we're going to keep it there. All right.
No.
Another thing, I haven't really done this with him, but I do have some clients that I'm helping that are on our teen boy or teen girl plan, and vegetables are sometimes hard for them to get in. So we take spinach and we can blend them into protein shakes. That way they're getting vegetables in. They don't know it's there.
I actually really did not know.
You really didn't know.
Kind of changed colors, but I didn't really know.
So we have done that. Another thing he's done is he tries 1 to 2 new foods a week. So I try to introduce some new foods, some different things for him to try.
Eventually we'll run out of foods.
We'll run out of foods. Sometimes he doesn't like it. And if he doesn't like it, I say, that's okay. We tried it. That's what we always do. And then sometimes we find a new food that he likes. And then another thing we did was we made some fun kind of games out of food, I guess is a fun way to say it. You may remember the time I did this. So I was trying to switch him from spaghetti noodles to palmini noodles, which are, okay, which are they're made parts of palm, and I made a little bit of both, and I put with some spaghetti sauce, and I no, here he goes, and then I made him a little taste test, and he really was struggling to find out the difference between the two. He's probably going to get them out of the pantry, but we made little taste. Yeah, that's the lasagna ones.
Yeah.
But I mean, and he didn't like these, but he liked the other noodles. And so when he had them side by side, he realized I really can't see that much difference in there. So that was another thing we did. And then another tip I want to share. This is something.
She has too many palmini noodles.
We do like them. I actually prefer spaghetti squash, but I've got a lot of palmini noodles too. Some tips that we do for eating out is, you know, one thing you can do as a family, and especially you guys know, like as expensive as it is to eat out and everything, is you can really limit your eating out to 1 to 2 times per week. So, you know, if we stick to our health goals during the week, then we go out and have a meal, and it's not always
Crackers.
I don't know if those are from something else. And so it doesn't, I'm not policing what he eats when he, you know, when we go out. I don't police that. I mean, we try to make a couple of healthy swaps. And so one thing that we do, I want to share this because this is something that I know that you do, is he's not a big soda drinker. So he doesn't really drink a lot of soda. And so we try when we're eating out, of course, this saves money too, is to drink water. And I will say with water, you drink probably what, almost a gallon a day?
Yeah, I'd say about that.
He drinks a ton of water. He's not a big soda drinker.
I drink a lot of this.
We drink, yeah, we have water cups that we carry with us everywhere, not in that. And so we do a lot of water drinking, but especially when we're out, we try to stick to water instead of sodas when we eat out, because that's already sort of a treat when you come. And then a couple of other healthy swaps that we do. So let's say your kids want a combo meal, and that's like, maybe it's a hamburger and French fries and a drink. So we try to do water for the drink. And then what we try to do,
or no drink.
You know, let's do the burger and not the fries,
or burger and fries, but no bun.
Yeah. So see, he knows what it is. So, or we do the burger with, you know, with no bun, but we have the fries. So it's basically swapping things out. So we just talk about over carbing. And I think what Bryce has learned on his journey is he's learned how too many of those carbs make him feel, and he doesn't like to feel that way.
It's the same with you too.
Yeah, same as me too. For all of us, you know, that lethargic where you're so tired feeling.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
After one ice cream, you were knocked out.
Yeah, so things like that, when you eat something, you're like, oh my gosh, that doesn't feel good. And then another thing we do, one of the things is he loves Chick-fil-A. And so it's like, hey, I'll buy you some extra chicken, but we're not going to do the sides. And so again, it's just swapping things out. So we're still going out. We're still having chicken. Things. He loves Chick-fil-A.
I love Chick-fil-A.
But we don't need the fries or the mac and cheese or anything. And the chicken by itself is a great thing to have. So I'm making you hungry. So let me pull that stop share off. So that's a couple of tips that we have had that have really helped us on our journey together. And it really, you know, does he eat perfect every day? No. Do I eat perfect every day? No. But it's making those swaps and those changes a little bit at a time. So before Jade shares some things, is there anything else that you would like to share?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing. So Jade's going to come in and she's going to share a couple of other tips, some things that have helped. I know some people that you've worked with, Jade, on their journey. And so she's going to share those with us.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Bryce. That was amazing. I should have brought one of my boys in here to be my assistant, but I learned a lot from you. So I appreciate all that. So we're going to switch the gears just a little bit and talk about how do we get our teens to be a little bit more active. To tell you a little bit about me real quick, I, like Debbie, have been a nurse for many years. I am now an Optavia health coach, but I'm also a mom of 5 boys. We have 2 teenagers and we will have 3 in just a couple more months. So, woo, teenagers, they're something else. But I will tell you that it is so important that you do exactly what Jennifer and Bryce did, and that is that you work together with your teen or with your child. they will do what you do. They do not always do what you say. And we have learned that so many times. Let me tell you, we have made so many mistakes. My oldest, still to this day, is the pickiest eater that we have here. He has grown a lot, just like Bryce. He has learned to replace healthier foods with other foods. He will drink water. He will now eat salads, but he's just super picky, and I own up to it as his mom for allowing that. We live and we learn, and my twins, they're the youngest. They're just whatever you put on the table, they're gonna eat. But okay, so physical activity. We all know it's super important as adults or even as kids. It is beneficial in maybe weight loss or maintaining our weight, for our mental health. There's so many things that it is beneficial for. But as we become teenagers or even younger, to be honest with you, we have these screens that are in front of our faces a lot. You know, technology has advanced, and our children's childhood looks very different than it did when we were their age. They are gaming systems. I know we have one. You know, we have a PlayStation. We're no different than maybe some of the other families. And then there's also school. School is online now. Who knew? You know, our twins are in 3rd grade and they have Chromebooks. You know, the years of textbooks are a little bit different. So it is important as parents that we step up and engage our kids and help them understand there is a huge component of nutrition in what we eat, but there is also a huge component in our health that involves around getting our bodies moving. So when we talk about teenagers, how do we engage them, or how do we motivate them? Because I don't know about you guys, but whatever I suggest here lately with my teenagers sometimes does not go over well. You know, mom is not very cool right now. But I have found that if you can find what interests them and something that they can do, they're probably on board. The biggest thing is including them with you. My 14-year-old, he's going on 30, and he is in all of the adult conversations. I mean, he's like got input, he's got everything. So when we include him in, all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'll go. So we found that beneficial. Their friends are huge. If you can bring their friends along for the activity you're going to do, more than likely they're totally in. And then, like I mentioned earlier, doing the activity with them. We definitely do not want to single them out. I know that Jennifer did not do that with her son, right? You may have more children that, you know, Debbie talked about being the only one of her siblings who struggled with her weight. But if we were to go and say, well, Debbie, here's your exercise program for the week, but no one else has to do that, I'm sure she would not have been open to that. I know I would not have been, probably not even now as an adult. So including them together as a family unit is how they're going to get started. It's how they're going to stay consistent, and how they will see success with that too. As far as thinking, well, not all children are into sports, right? I can tell you out of our 5, they do not all want to play sports. We have a little bit of everything going on here. But what we have found is, for example, if you have a child who is into photography, offering to take a family walk a few evenings a week, and then the child can take pictures along the way, or the teen can take pictures along the way, and that's their interest, you know, that's their hobby, but they're getting that activity built into something that they enjoy. And I encourage you to encourage your child, not once the activity has been done, you know, the healthy motion is done, but all along the way, when they get in the car to go with you to the park. Thanks so much for being open to this. This is going to benefit all of us, you know, just really encouraging them to keep it up. Oh, not to pick on Bryce again, but I have kids that love roller coasters too. Not so much my thing. But when you go to an amusement park, it is a lot of walking. And where we live in the South, it is hot. I'm not gonna lie, in the summertime. So you kind of have to build your stamina up for something like that. So an idea might be, okay, let's all get equipped to go spend a day riding as many rides as we can, trekking across the amusement park and having a blast. But before we are able to do that, we need to start walking and building our endurance to be able to take on that crazy fun day. So you've got a reward of going to the amusement park. You've also got the activity in between in getting your teenager involved and motivated, because you're like, hey, we want to be in shape, right? We want to go have a good time while we are at Six Flags. That's the big place here. And then I wanted to share a story with you guys real quick about a dear friend of mine. Her name's Summer. She had a son who very badly broke his ankle. This was months of recovery. I don't even know how many pins and different things that he had to have to get his ankle reconstructed. But during that time, he gained a lot of weight. Frustrated, difficult at school, getting around to the point that he did come home and do some classes online for a while. It separated him from his friends, so a little bit of depression set in. But once he was freed from the physicians to be active again, he found himself about 50 pounds heavier. And when he went back to school, he did get picked on. And not only did that crush his mom's heart, but he didn't want to go to school. So there was lots of things that played into that. However, Summer had lost weight with our health program in the past, and she said, hey, why don't we do this together? So her son did the team plan, a lot more flexibility, a lot more variety in foods. And she chose to do one of our simple plans for adults because that fit into her schedule. However, her son is now active and his favorite thing is to go rock climbing. We do have an indoor rock climbing place here locally, not his mom's thing, like, at all. But she knew that this meant a lot to him. She knew that this would encourage him, this would get him back active. She knew from previously doing the health plan that yes, the nutrition is a big piece, but if you can add in that healthy activity, then you are going to keep your results long term. So here they go to the rock climbing facility, and she provided transportation for a long time. She provided encouragement, and then throughout doing that with him, she ended up getting certified along with him to belay each other and do the competitions that they have down there. Now he is actually 60 pounds that he has lost, and he is totally, he has so many muscles. Like, it's crazy the amount of muscle that will put on him. So proof when you develop a plan with your child and you do it with them, or you at least make sure they can get to where they need to be, they have the equipment they need to be, they have the encouragement, that they can be successful. And then for us, as far as our family, we are fairly competitive. There's 7 of us, guys. There's a lot of us. We can go anywhere and like have a game, but we picked up pickleball. And though I'm not really good, a lot of my family love it. And we enjoy just a friendly competition of that a few evenings a week. We also built in some traditions. We do a Thanksgiving 5K every Thanksgiving morning. We've done that for 4 years now. Did I get some pushback from that? Absolutely. A lot from my husband the very first year, but now it is fun. And we do see who can win. We do. I just want to say sometimes moms, you can totally win. But other things we do is like who had the fastest first mile, or as far as our twins, we celebrated them this year because they could complete the whole race. And that's a lot for their small legs. A few things we do too is looking for ways to engage our children. So you may have youth groups if you're a part of a church. or there is recreational sports leagues, if that's something that your children are interested in. There's school clubs that offers outlets. All of that would have friends or would have children that are close in age and they can relate to. If you have a child that doesn't would prefer to be a little bit more home with you, then create, your own family challenge, maybe. Involve your family in events. Just this past Saturday, we did a Rise Against Hunger event, and my husband and I immediately hopped into packing the boxes and hauling the boxes to the truck. And we looked around and we realized, guess what? That's exactly what our boys were doing too. So when I say they do what you do, they absolutely do. Much more than what you say. And then just in closing, real quick, parents, we have to model these behaviors. We have to start with them. If you don't drink the water, start drinking the water with them. Jennifer gave amazing examples of how not only you can save money if you go out to eat, but simple exchanges, even in your home or at Chick-fil-A, that you can do. Start small, build upon that, offer the positive reinforcement, and then plan it together. Bring your teens into that planning. Remember, they're adults and they like to be a part of it and have a say in what they choose to do. And then lastly, just making it fun. If you can get your child to go to the park and walk with you several nights a week, maybe you do go to that amusement park, or you plan for a Friday night at the movie theater. If you have a bunch of girls, believe it or not, I have all boys, but I grew up with all sisters, plan a shopping day. That would be super fun, especially if they're getting healthier and maybe they can wear newer clothes, smaller clothes. But I hope all that is just helpful for you to think about ways to engage your teen and do it as a family. And then I am going to toss it over to Melanie to share a little bit about her story with her teenager.
Jade, thank you so much. And Jennifer and Bryce, you guys all knocked it out of the park. I think we're all we're in similar boats, but we're in different phases. So I am a mom of a 22-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 15-year-old. And Allie here is our 17-year-old. She's about to turn 18. About 4 years ago, she decided I had been already coaching our plan for a couple of years, and she decided that she wanted to know more about the teen plan. Like Jade was talking about, do it with them. So we eat meals together, we move together. And so this was just an avenue for her to get involved. So I'll let Allie, I've got a couple questions for her that we've thought about. But I would start off by saying, Allie, why did you come to me and ask me more about the teen plan?
Well, for starters, I hated how my clothes fit, being at a school with other kids, going and seeing them be able to wear the same shirts and everything, and knowing that, you can't wear those, I just got to upsize. It wasn't the funnest thing to do and to see, especially whenever every time I walk into class, there would be mirrors against the wall and you see someone in front of you who's a lot skinnier and you just want to fit in. So I also didn't feel the best, and I knew that I was overweight by a bit. I always kind of was as a kid. So I knew that I wanted to lose some weight. You can say it in the image thing, and I wanted to look better and to kind of fit in. And I thought if I lost weight that I'd be able to fit in to that group. Just in case you want to know the end of that story, it doesn't matter your weight. Your personality really shines through, and how you treat people is definitely what it is, and to be a true friend.
Absolutely. And so for those who may be listening that aren't as familiar with the teen plan that we keep talking about, basically we're giving some suggestions of what does a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner look like, with a couple snacks around that, because ultimately we want you to fuel your body every 3 hours. So that's and we have a couple of different teen plans. Maybe your teens want to lose, or maybe they just need better habits. So what did you like best about following the teen plan?
Well, it was an easy meal prep. I would always pack my lunch the night before. I mean, it was just really a lot easier to follow. Also, unlike keto, where you have other meals where you know it's a keto meal. Going to school, somebody would look over at my leftovers that I had that my mom made the night before, I made from the night before, and said, "Oh, that looks good," and I just say what it is, and I don't have to explain. Well, you see, I'm on this diet and I can't really like eat anything else, and it's a lot easier to kind of blend in, I guess, at school. Whenever you go heat up some taco meat and put it over a bed of lettuce and some cheese and tomatoes, it's a lot easier.
So we talk a lot about lean and green meals, and that's going to be healthy protein, non-starchy vegetables, healthy fat. We keep it really simple, or we follow a recipe. So we have a ton of recipes. And what I would say as a suggestion is that there's tons of great recipes. And in our family, when we see one that we think we'll like, we print it off, 3-ring hole punch it. I know, I was a homeschool teacher, so love that 3-ring hole puncher, and put it in a 3-ring binder. And we've put it on the shelf. And so that way it takes the guesswork out of what does everybody like when we're trying to figure out what we're going to make for the week. So what are a couple of your favorite lean and green recipes?
Well, I just talked about the Big Mac bowl. It's basically a taco salad, but it is seasoned like a Big Mac from McDonald's, along with the sauce, which is like a Thousand Island as your dressing. Another one is the buffalo chicken dip. That's
my favorite too. Anybody else love the buffalo chicken dip? I mean, it's like buffalo wings, but it's healthy, and you can eat it with celery, bell peppers, cucumbers, whatever. So how did you prepare to eat on plan during your school day?
So one thing that's really big is to meal prep the night before or after you're done making your meal, and you're ready to put up the leftovers, to actually portion it out to where I know, okay, in the morning I can just grab this Tupperware and already have everything portioned out, and I don't have to be rushing in the morning, because then you either mismeasure, you don't get enough, you say, oh, forget about it, I'm just going to go and hope that this is enough, or not too much. And then do not pack extra snacks that you cannot eat, because you might want to throw in that bag of Cheez-Its in your lunchbox because you're going to get hungry during history. Well, you got fuelings for a reason.
Very good. Very good. So that leads me to, what did you pack in your lunchbox?
I always switched it up. I would just follow the teen healthy guide, and I would just pack a protein, a dairy. Oh gosh, this was 3 or 4 years ago. A fruit, a healthy fat, and a starch. And I would just go through the list. Now I could have the weirdest lunch ever. I could have popcorn, I could have taco meat, and I could have, some grapes. Like, it'd just be the weirdest meal ever. But at the end of the day, I knew it was gonna fuel my body. And then also leftovers are such a good thing. A lot of people are like, oh, leftovers, they're not gonna be good the second time. Trust me, you put them in the microwave, sometimes they're a little bit better the second time.
And so I think Allie found a lot of what I found before I started following a plan, was that I didn't know really what to eat. I just thought if I worked out harder and I ate less, that I'd lose the weight. And I was trying to do a healthy lunch, and my healthy lunch looked like a dry turkey sandwich, pretzels, and carrot sticks. That's kind of boring. Her lunches looked much better than that. And what I found was all that bread, and the pretzels. I didn't need all the starch, probably didn't have enough protein. So I was trying to fill up my body on starch and carbs instead of filling it up on protein and vegetables and some fruit and some things that were healthier. When our kids were in preschool, I remember their preschool teachers would always tell them, eat your protein first. You know, they'd sit down at the table as 2 and 3 and 4 year olds and whatever they were packed. We heard, eat your protein first. So Allie had a guide on what to put in that lunchbox. So what would you say was the most difficult part of following the teen plan?
Well, as a kid, you're invited to a lot of parties. You were invited to the Christmas party, the Valentine's, birthday parties, summer events. It's probably going there and not just finding something to eat, but not eating the other stuff. So
could you eat some of it?
Yes, because you do get a treat, which would be like a 1-inch, piece of cake, square piece of cake, or a cookie, or a donut. Like on the teen plan, there is that little bit of wiggle room that you do have, that is optional for you. So just to know that you're going to be at that party later and you're going to have that sweet treat later, know in advance that, oh, okay, well, I'm going to have that later, so don't take it now. And then all of the extra snacks and food sharing at lunch. Somebody would wave up a bag of Cheetos and go, hey, I'm not going to eat these. Who wants them? You got to say no. The Cheetos.
You already had what you needed in your bag, right? So what changes have you experienced personally and in our household since being introduced to the Habits of Health transformation system?
Well, I already knew how to eat healthier, with my mom and with homeschool. That would always be a big part, was our health and exercise, but really understanding why we eat those certain components. I didn't know that protein, the reason why you eat it was to not only get full from it, but to also get your muscle, your healthy fats. Someone like comes up to you, oh, that has oil in it. Why are you eating that? That's not healthy. Well, it really is. And to know what exactly to eat and to know also what the portions are, because sometimes you would have too many, in a bag of nuts, you'd have 2 or 3 of those, you'd have too many. Or you I definitely had to split up my lean and green into lunch and dinner, because it was so much food. It was a lot of vegetables, a lot of starch, and a lot of meat that I couldn't eat. So I would always split it up into lunch and dinner.
So I have to brag on Allie. We're talking about 4 years ago. We were actually just rolling into that little pandemic that we had whenever she decided to start the teen plan. And she's about to turn 18. So she was about to turn 15 at 14. The time, 14. We know what our body shapes are going through as a 15-year-old young lady. And she has sprouted up. Allie is 5'9". She is a star on the basketball team. She's very active. And so we have to support that active lifestyle. And I think that having introduced her to these healthy habits 4, 5, and 6 years ago has been a benefit to her, so that she can fuel her body well to do the things that she loves and fit comfortably into her clothing and her dresses that she has for formals coming up. So this is for all of our kids. These are habits that every one of them can take away, whether we're fighting obesity or we're trying to prevent obesity. So I thank you for joining us and allowing us to share some of our takeaways.
Can I ask Allie a question?
Sure.
Allie, are you ready?
Yeah.
You sound like, well, first of all, I just want to congratulate Jade and Jennifer and Melanie for being amazing parents. I think that you are wonderful examples for not only your family, but for everybody that is in your presence. And raising a family is difficult, and putting out there and giving them choices is very hard, and being able to accommodate everybody's needs, especially with Jade's 5 children. But Allie, with everything that you've done, with all of the different food choices that you've brought, do you think that you are a role model for your friends? And have they caught on and started kind of following what you're doing?
Yes. Like the other night, my boyfriend came over and we had shrimp and cauliflower rice and what else? Broccoli.
Maybe it may have just been cauliflower fried rice.
And so he goes, "What's that?" And I was like, "It's cauliflower rice." He goes, "I've never had that before." And he had it and loved it. And I was like, "Yeah." And he, he's also in MMA and going into the military, so he knows how to eat healthy and stuff, but showing those little different things that you can fix in your food is definitely great. My best friend was one of the pickiest people that I know for eating. She didn't like vegetables. Every single time she comes over, she asks for cauliflower. She doesn't need ranch with it. She just wants the cauliflower. And she's always, "I want to go over to your house because you guys cook good food." And at my house, we get to have pizza or spaghetti pretty much every night. And she's like, "Well, you guys have a lot of variety and different food, and it all tastes good. And I don't feel like I'm going to be sick and want to go to bed early."
She had to also educate him on
Oh gosh.
the conversation, the vocabulary that all of you use is you know what a protein and a vegetable and a starch and all those things are. So Wayne is my husband, her daddy is on 5-in-1 active, right? Or is on 5-in-1 right now. And so we were doing lean and green, and I said, I fixed the same meal for everyone. We all eat it. And I asked, does anyone else want a starch? He said, what is that? And so she had to educate. So we can make the same meal for everyone and then add in a starch for someone who may not be in that weight loss phase.
Well, Allie, thank you for being a role model for everyone.
Of course.
You're going to do great things, girl.
Thank you.
I agree. Thank you, ladies, all of you, and gentlemen. Bryce, I know he stepped out, but I am so thankful that all of you took the time to join tonight. And I'm very appreciative of Jennifer, Bryce, Melanie, Allie, and Jade for participating. And I want to have some time if anybody has questions. We'll have a few minutes for question and answers, but I just want to mention a couple of other things. We do have some information to give to you if you're interested. And so if anyone would like a collection of recipes, some of which were mentioned here tonight, just put the word recipes in the chat. And then if anyone wants some tips from Jade about some family activities and incorporating that, put the word activity in the chat. And lastly, if you're not already in a special Facebook group called Health and Hope, we can add you to that. And there's many more recipes. There's a whole community of support, and there's just so much information for you there. Lots of motivation. So put group in the chat if you're interested in that. And so with that being said, I want to just open it up to see if anyone has questions, and we'd be happy to entertain any questions that you have. Not seeing any at the moment. And sometimes I know it's not always the most comfortable thing to ask a question in front of the whole group. You can also make it in the chat to an individual person if you want. So again, this is recorded. If you know of anyone that would benefit from hearing this information, we'd certainly be glad to share this resource with people. And we definitely will follow up with sending information for those who have requested it. And I don't really have anything else tonight other than, again, just to say thank you to everybody that participated as a speaker and for those of you who attended. So unless there's any questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting, and we'll stop the recording, but make it available to others. All right, I think we can say goodbye for now, and you guys have a fantastic week. We'll see you. Bye-bye.